On today's Technique Tuesday, we're going to show you how you can take this and put it through this. Let's go have a look. Hi, I'm Greg and I'm from Elusive Recording Studios, and as I said in today's intro, we're going to be looking at reamping. So you might be asking, Greg, what on earth is reamping? What are you going on about? Well, reamping is where you take a pre-recorded audio track and you reamp it. The clue is in the title. You take a signal out, you fool the guitar amplifier into thinking it's a guitar that's going, a guitar level signal that's going into the guitar amplifier, and then you can record to your heart's content without people making mistakes, because you could have done your editing beforehand. You can do all your time correcting. You can do any tuning that you might need to do. But it also means that you don't have to necessarily put a guitar through a guitar amplifier. You can put drums, you can put vocals, you can put synthesizers, you can put even trumpets and flutes and whatever else you might have in your studio and get some really interesting tones. So it is a bit bonkers, but it's been a technique that's been around since at least the 70s, and it means that with the guitarist or with your playing, you can keep the energy high because you're not having to worry about doing the perfect take. It makes comping take so much easier, so you've got the perfect one, and then you can spend time getting the tone that you want. So it does mean effectively you can do each job separately, but making sure you're doing each job to the best of its ability, rather than trying to do recording, playing, tone editing, well, picking your tone, all at the same time. You can just focus on each part individually. Yes, it does take a bit more time. However, the results, I believe, are definitely worth it. So that's what we're going to be looking at today. So first of all, you need a clean guitar part, and I already have one here. Excuse me. So here's our clean guitar part. So let's hear it. Let's start that again. Right, so we got our clean guitar part here. It's literally called clean guitar. It's a DI feed, and it sounds like this. So you can hear it, there's no distortion there. And if you go to warp, you can see that I've time corrected it all. So the timing is absolutely spot on. There's no lateness, no early hits. It is absolutely on the nail. And so once you've kind of got that, you can start to think about reamping. So some of you might go, but Greg, I've got amp plugins. Why would I need to use a guitar amplifier? And that's it's a valid point. I've got some here. You can kind of go, yeah, I could just bring on the drive. I can use an AC30 amp and it'll sound like... And don't get me wrong, they're good, but at the same time, there's something nice to be said about doing things in an old school way. And also, if you're looking for content for your YouTube channel, people like looking at gear, people like playing with gear, people like talking about gear. I don't think there's quite the same level of excitement when it comes to plugins. And also, the results can be a lot more trial and error. And as we've discussed in some of the other videos, all the trademark stuff comes from happy accidents. Are you likely to get the same kind of happy accident with programming on a plugin that you're using? I don't think you can. But, if I'm wrong, if you think better otherwise, just write in the comments beneath. I'd be interested to see and hear your thoughts. So, as I said, we've got our guitar part here, and as you can see, it's going to the mix bus. But we need to change this to go to an output separate to the rest of the tracks on Pro Tools. So this is now coming out of a spare output on my SSL Alpha Link sound card thingy, which will then come out, it will go into a reamp box and then go into the guitar amplifier. Okay, as I said in the first part, we've shown you how to set up all your inputs and outputs on Pro Tools. So now this is where it starts to get a bit funky. So key ingredient, our Reamp box. It's a bit like a DI box, but in reverse. So we have a XLR balanced line input here, and then we have our unbalanced 1/4" jack line output there. So that comes from the interface, that goes to the guitar amplifier. So they're all different types. They range from about, say, £40 up to a couple of hundred. Radial, in my opinion, are one of the better ones. A bit more expensive, but they last a lifetime. I'm not endorsed in any way. This is bought with my own money, and yeah, I'm really happy with their stuff. So this is a little gem of a box that can just help you do so much and use your equipment in so many more ways, which is really exciting. I think I saw BT once say the last thing you ever put through a guitar amplifier is a guitar. So, you know, it gives you an idea of how useful these can be. So, as I said, we need to take our XLR lead from our interface. So there's our interface there, an Antelope Audio 1. Comes out of there via this cable. We're going to patch that into the XLR input. And then here's our guitar lead. And this is a silent jack lead, so it only connects when this little bit is pushed in. Push that in, and that is that part connected up. Here we are, we're in one of our live rooms. You probably notice I've changed my t-shirt. It's because we're doing this video over a couple of days. So this is our amp. It is an original Lab Series L5 dating from the late 1970s. As I said, made by Moog in correlation with Gibson. So it's quite a rare amplifier, especially in the United Kingdom. So as I said, if we pan down, it's a nice 2-channel amplifier. So we're just using the clean channel here. We're not using the one with the spring reverb. And also we have a it's a Violet Amethyst Standard. I think these are now made by another company, but a Latvian condenser microphone here, set about 4 inches away from the speaker. You got a 2x12, so you got one 12-inch speaker there, one 12-inch speaker here. So nothing overly complicated. And if we pan up, you'll notice that I've set the volume relatively high here, dropped a bit in mid, kept the bass and the treble about 12 o'clock, and our overall volume is there. I have turned the compressor on this amplifier. No, I haven't. I've turned it off. Ignore me. So I'm going to press play. You might hear that I've got a bit of delay on there, and that's coming from a TC Electronics 2290, which is a famous delay unit. So I'm going to be recording this with that delay on it because I think it suits the track for those parts. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use this amplifier again, but we're going to put a electron analog drive effects distortion unit through this amplifier, and that way you're going to hear how different this amplifier can sound with a really, really, really good distortion pedal. Okay, so we've set up our guitar amplifier, we've chosen our microphone, we've put it in the right spot. Now we need to amplify that microphone signal with a microphone preamp. So we're going to be using a Universal Audio LA610 mic pre, famously used by the Beach Boys, designed by Bill Putnam in America. Really, really nice, all valve preamp tube if you're in America. I'm going to show you some of the controls now. So here it is. We have our valve preamp side over here, and then we've got a 2-band EQ there with various different frequencies. We have our optical compressor here, which is an LA2A style compressor for those who know their stuff. And then you have your output gain, which also goes through another valve. And we've set it to the compression ratio, not the limit one, which gives, we're going to be looking for about a couple of 2 to 3 dB of compression. So it's just a really nice mic pre, and it works especially well on acoustic guitars and clean guitars, although to be fair, it's pretty good on most things. So we're going to be using that just because we can. And then we're going to come out of that and we're going to go into our interface. Again, our Antelope Audio Orion 32 Plus. So that way, really good converters. We're going to keep that tone as true as possible to what we're hearing. We're not going to add anything else. So that is how we're going to do it clean. Right, so we've shown you the amp. We've brought it back in. We've connected it to our preamp. And now we're going to bring it into Pro Tools for recording. And we're also going to be putting it via the desk for monitoring. So I'm going to press play. So that's the DI guitar going through the amplifier, which we're hearing. So I can also now add my 2290 delay, and we'll hear that. So that will be adding the delay signal to the DI guitar, which is then going through the amp. So it would be like plugging your guitar into a delay pedal before the amplifier. So it is pre-amplifier, not post. And if we look over here, you'll see that we are monitoring our input levels coming into Pro Tools. So I'm going to record that now. So I'll press record arm. So, yep, we have got to do this in real time because, you know, it's being recorded and processed in real time. So we would continue that across for our other parts. One thing I'm going to do, actually, is I'm going to bypass the delay here for, say, this bit. So I can record that in and then basically get everything all lined up. The only thing you've got to bear in mind is because the signal's coming out of the computer, going through the amplifier, back in again, there will be latency. You'll notice that they're not exactly lined up. So a good thing with Pro Tools is that you can tab to transient, edit it, and then bring this to there. So now it will be lined up and there will be no latency within that recording. And if we hear that back, let's hear that one, we'll have the delay on it. So there you go, as simple as that for recording a guitar, reamping a guitar. So now we're going to get a little bit funky and we're going to introduce the analog drive by a company called Electron. And we're going to use the same amp settings, but we're going to add distortion to it this time. But we're also going to use a little bit of SSL desk EQ just to reduce some of the frequency. So I'm going to go and turn the pedal on. Exactly the same amp settings, nothing has changed on the preamp other than basically now inserting a distortion pedal within the signal. What I'm going to do now, just duplicate this here so you can hear the dry signal. So that's our DI signal. And then this is it going through our Electron analog drive distortion pedal, going through our amplifier. I think because the amp's so clean in the settings that we use, you can see why Van Halen used this amplifier for the Beat It guitar solo by Michael Jackson. So I've been told. I'm sure someone will go, no, he used something different, but by all accounts, that's what he used. So let's hear that back. I'll delete this part because it was just to show it clean. So we'll play it in combination with everything else. And we can now do exactly the same as before on the track and press record. It's as simple as that, and if I wanted to, I could use bias amp to sample that amp tone if I want to, which we'll look at in another video. So there you go, that is reamping. What would you put through a guitar amplifier? Write in the comments beneath, always up for hearing your suggestions, but thank you for watching, and if there's anything you would like us to talk about, put them in the comments beneath. Smash that subscribe button, and we will see you on the next Technique Tuesday. Stay safe out there. And that's Juno hitting the camera with a bum.